Will the game be fun?
Yes.
Alright gang, this game's over a year old, and honestly, I'm kinda tired of talking about it, but you know what? I spent hours and hours tearing apart this game, figuring out the laundry list of problems that it has, and I learned that no amount of patching, fixing, pile driving, or butt touching could ever really fix No Man's Sky. Frankly, it's just not as good as it can be. There was a disconnect between development teams and marketing teams, and neither knew what kind of game they were making, so it made confusion and angry attitudes all across the board. And I'm sure that Sean Murray got death threats, but you know what? He seems like a nice, weird guy, or as nice as a pathological liar could get. So leave him alone. He seems like the kind of guy who'd date your daughter and buy her roses on the first date. So just like be cool or whatever. So fuck it. It's done. It's over with. Version 1.57 whatever is not going to fix all the problems that No Man's Sky has. It can't be done. And honestly, we should do something different. We should make No Man's Sky 2. And you're like, well, Evan, you don't know anything about game design. And I'm like, well, neither does Hello Games.
Ooh, sick burn.
I'm sorry, but 2 mobile games is not enough to convince me that you can fundamentally reinvent the gaming industry. Just like 18 developers is not enough to make me convinced that you can accurately and interestingly create 18 quintillion planets and there not be any form of repetition. But you know what? I'm gonna do it anyways because you're watching it. Or you were watching another review of No Man's Sky and this autoplayed. And now you're stuck. So let's cook a non-vomit filled souffle that is No Man's Sky 2, The Wrath of Khan. Step 1, add a story. I don't care what you say. Being a destined wanderer and hearing random calls from the wild is not enough to make this game interesting. And as we've learned, neither is 18 quintillion planets. I'm sorry, I am, but 2001: A Space Odyssey doesn't work in video game format. And I love Carl Sagan, but neither does that. Not like this, at least. Not by giving us an empty game that's not making any major claims about humanity or the nature of space or anything. Sorry. So you've got a good aesthetic, and if you read my extremely long review down here in the description box, you'll see that the color palette reminds me of the classic episodes of the Star Trek original series. Do that. Make it about humanity, or if you're daring some weird sentient octopus men pushing out into the stars and coming into contact with a variety of species. Make it big, but still somewhat reasonable. Something like Elite Dangerous comes to mind, where it's a balance between the procedurally generated and, the humanly generated. Keep that beautiful look in those big bubbly ships, but give it an authority over me or something. Make it about a pilot who's rebellious and is hired to make contact with as many species in a specified amount of time. You know, like a 5-year mission? Or maybe don't do that. It's fine. We'll do something else. But what's important here is actually do something. Give me some reason why I'm stopping in a system other than, there's resources here or whatever. Like, that's not cool, dude. That's boring. Space travel is about shooting shit, right? Don't lose track of that, No Man's Sky. A quiet, colorful, arty adventure is fine, but if you do that, make it small. Make it matter. Give me a fucking protagonist to project upon. Don't leave me alone with my own thoughts, because you've already done that, and you know it makes me sad and lonely. And like, games are art and can convey a variety of emotions, but that doesn't encourage me to keep playing. You didn't commit to it last time. The quiet commentary went to waste last time, so this time let's do it right. Make like a somewhat narrative experience. Maybe not even at the forefront, but at least give players a reasons to be out and about. I don't go outside for no goddamn reason. I go outside because I need to walk to Dollar General and buy cans of Chef Boyardee and Scabellios. Number 2, fix the goddamn gameplay. Perhaps what made it so apparent that No Man's Sky Prime was not able to be fixed was the inclusion of actual combat. Shooting stuff is so awkward. I have to hit a button to reload, and I have to risk not being able to take off later in order to recharge my weaponry. Make it have a cover system or find ammo. You know what? While I'm at it, number 2.5, make sure there's stuff to be found that's actually useful. The only reason why I ever need a Korvax Convergence Cube was for my science officer, and he took it from me and did not shit with it. Make them upgrades, or ways to improve myself and my ships. And if there's going to be signs of colonists, like the facilities we find, have consumables beyond just the resources to mine. Make some planets not have certain things. Create a sense of scarcity or rarity. I don't need 19 fucking Gek charms. I'm not gonna need them, I promise. Part of the problem with the original is that 90% of the planets have the same 5 or 6 resources that are needed, So fix that, fix the shooting, because space is about shooting shit. And then, give me shit to find. Number 3, Fix your crafting mechanics. Honestly, they're kind of the worst. Look at any other video game. It doesn't work like it does in No Man's Sky. I have some raw materials and I throw them into an imaginary mortar and I pestle the hell out of them. And boom, I get arrows or whatever. No Man's Sky is insistent on making me chase the final outcome. I've got to build one thing, which helps build another thing, which helps builds another, which does something that's finally actually useful. It's got to make sense and be user-friendly. That's what matters. It would be excusable if your entire game wasn't based around, like crafting, but shit, it is. In order to progress, I go here, get a recipe, make something, give it to someone, and that gets so old. And that's beyond just my general bias against fucking indie games insisting on having crafting. Crafting is lame. It's like the Where's Waldo of gameplay mechanics. I don't want that. I want the cool holographic picture that makes me see the sailboat. Those are fun and interesting and don't make me stressed out. Why am I looking for Waldo in the first place? I don't even fucking know Waldo. He seems fucking weird. While I'm on the topic of indie games, it's important to note that Hello Games is still, an indie studio. And there's nothing wrong with that, but don't get too big for your bitcoins or whatever. Don't start thinking you're the next Bethesda. Did you think Bethesda got there by thinking they were the next Westwood Studios or something? Come on. Stay humble, boys and girls, and I know that's partially not your fault because you got all this big press for making a game that's absurdly oversized, but still, be cool. Back on it though, your crafting is fucking broken and stupid. Fix it. Number 4, your procedurally generated stuff is just terrible. It's really bad. Let's face it, when you dreamed about wandering among the stars, did the creatures you thought you were gonna find look like this? How about this? Something in the chain of maths with an S at the end that created these creatures got all sorts of fucked up, and we're left with some weird, unsexy, unflattering, and frankly awkward things. I don't need weird dinosaurs or Teenage Mutant Ninja Care Bears. Have some semblance of social order and quit slapping shit on shit to make it look like something. Here, let me do a thought experiment real quick. In our hypothetical No Man's Sky, there's, say, 1 quintillion planets. Still ungodly huge, but nonetheless doable. I hire 20 artists from various environments and skill sets. This includes from the worlds of biology, to video game design, to comic books, to create 200-ish creature parts. Arms, legs, bodies, etc. that fit together somehow. These 20 artists would be designing types of creatures for the 10-ish types of planets. Cold, warm, barren, gas giant, frozen, molten, etc. That's 4,000 unique body looks, and if each planet has on average 4 species, it would take you forever before you got any repetition. And when you did, you'd be like, yeah, these environments are similar enough, that makes sense. And while it would appear to be intelligently designed or whatever, at least it would actually make sense. At least I'm not constantly hitting the random button over and over again on Spore or some shit. Like the Valerian movie was kind of donkey ass, but this is extremely similar to what they did during their production. It creates an eclectic view of the universe with an insane amount of variety, and it wouldn't be too hard to make them somewhat unified in a common art style if you wanted to. The sentient species don't actually look too bad, but that's because they were designed by someone with an understanding of how bodies fucking work, not by a goddamn TI-84 with a bucket full of amputated limbs from a endangered species and a copy of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I don't even have a major problem with the world design in No Man's Sky 1. Most of them have atmospheres and stuff to at least look at. If you don't want to fix that, I guess it would be fine. But we're not quitters, so we're gonna do it. Number 5, we're gonna fix every single planet. I mean it. Pluto, I'm looking at you. Give me planets with species on the cusp of civilization. Give me planets with species that are so advanced that my tiny puny mind can't understand it. Do something, be bold, and make me boldly go and find something totally rad. Don't make me step out into the void and find 17 empty SimCity maps. Have actually charted stuff in space. The random collections of meteorites are cool, but maybe have actual asteroid fields. I dump into a system and find some serious ones with their own resources and random space slugs or something. Don't dump me out in the middle of space and give me all these planets with not jack shit on and nothing to do with it. I mean, the occasional space battle is fine and getting robbed by pirates is always fun, but it's never gonna make it feel alive. And you're like, well, it's space, so it's not supposed to be. And I'm like, yeah, sure it's not, but this isn't an accurate depiction of space anyways. Why are we picking and choosing what space should and shouldn't be? Either take a complete artistic license or don't. Create a scale model of a universe, warts and all, or make it an interesting and cool, weird galaxy full of random aliens and encounters. And I promise, one of them will pay off. The cool, colorful world of No Man's Sky can exist, and with a few additions can be taken above and beyond. I want to make it clear that I don't hate No Man's Sky. For the first 10 hours, it's an absolutely incredible game, and I mean that, I really do. But it's an egg you crack to find a little IOU note inside. A pretty painted house that you lick and get lead poisoning from. I lick houses now, don't judge me. It's an incredibly fine, even passable, especially for an indie studio's first attempt at creating an actual game and not a time-killing app. Like, I'm not saying that I could do it better, or that I would ever attempt something half as ambitious as this. It's a beautiful game with an artistic vision from a production head who knows what he wants, if not what we want. And you know what? I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't come back here once in a while and just swoop around and look at weird shit. But after over 20 hours, I have no intentions of coming back to it seriously. And if you love it, that's fine. It's important to understand what you're getting when you get into it. It's not gonna make you feel like Han Solo or Captain Kirk or whatever the guy from Battlestar Galactica is called. It's gonna make you feel like you're watching the second act of 2001, wandering around and just slowly moving about. That's fine, but the next time around, I won't be so nice to you, No Man's Sky. These are my demands. There's a good space game in here somewhere. One that doesn't play like I'm getting an astrophysics textbook read to me by a corpse. But hey, we probably won't ever get a sequel to this game, and if we do, it'll slip out under the radar unnoticed. But hey, if you like hearing me yell about a game that's over a year old, you should subscribe. And I really, really appreciate you watching this, because man, oh man, do I love just screaming into a camera. And if you're from Hello Games and you're watching this and you need a consultant, well, all of this advice is free, but, you know, I'm available. Hit me up on LinkedIn.